double down on our efforts to catch up with science and technology and innovation. Science and technology and innovation, these are indispensable in the modern economy, in the modern world.
The problem being that, while we have our PhDs here, there aren't enough of us. And everywhere else in the world, for research to be successful, you need a complete research group.
It's very important that the PAASE members and scientists based in the Philippines are continuously in contact, so we will know the needs of the Filipinos and opportunities that the Filipinos can have to do science with their PAASE counterparts.
I think that is one of the good programs that they keep on supporting some of the initiatives of our researchers and scientists here in the country.
The role of this cooperation among these government agencies really is to be able to attract science and technology global-based companies to set up shop here. And that is really key in terms of developing the science and technology innovation ecosystem in the country.
We really need to ratchet up the appreciation, the recognition of the importance of science and technology and innovation.
And we are all trying to attain what we call the common good, the greater, higher, long-term good of the Filipino people.
So good afternoon, everyone.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Yes. So I'm Gisela Concepcion, current president of PAASE, and I would like to welcome you to the Fireside Chat of PAASE with Kat. Today, this is our episode 28, and it's entitled Lifting the Bottom Half. So now, we have our poster, and we look forward to a very constructive meeting today. And this is about lifting the bottom half. That is the title of National Scientist Emil Javier's honoris causa from UP speech. And here we want to address alternative coconut product development and intercropping, where intercropping was one of the strategies that he had identified as a solution to helping lift the bottom half of Filipinos, which would be our farmers and fisher folk. And in particular, we know that coconut farmers earn maybe only 5,000 pesos a month. Okay, so today we are very fortunate to have with us two outstanding speakers. And one of them is Dr. Leodovico Vic Ilag from Melbourne, Australia. Of course, he is kababata at katutubong UPLB like most of us. And I'm also an adopted UPLBer myself because I taught there and I have many friends there. So Vic Ilag is a DOST Balik scientist, and he is a director of Plantex PH PH Philippines Incorporated, which is a subsidiary of Plantex Australia. Okay, and he will talk to us about alternative coconut product development. And our second speaker will be Arsenio Toto Barcelona, known to many of us as a prime mover in the agribusiness industry. He is the president of Harvest Agribusiness Corporation. But I think I'm most blessed to have as my co-host none other than our Professor Emeritus, President Emeritus of and founder of the Coalition for Agriculture Modernization of the Philippines Incorporated, or CAMP. And for all of his efforts through the years, we awarded him in PAASE as one of the 2018 Distinguished Vanguard of Science awardees. So at this point, I'd like to give the floor to my co-host, Dr. Ben Pexon.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, my name is Ben Pexon. Like Vic, I am one of the original batch of Balik scientists way back in 1983. I worked and studied in the US for about 19 years. And since then, I worked in the industry. Most Balik scientists go back to academia, but I worked industry. But I've been involved even while I was working there in biotechnology. The DTI identified me as a champion of biotech in the 1990s. And for the last 6-7 years, I've been involved in modernizing agriculture. Anyway, the reason we hold this chat today is after a long time, centuries, where the kawawa yung mga coconut farmers. In the 1980s, they were victimized by collection of the coconut levies. During the times, almost 9.7 billion was collected purportedly to help them. But it was only in February this year where the money that was collected, part of it was given to them. A lot of it was given to a very few lucky people. So anyway, sinabi ni Giselle kanina, the typical coconut farmer earns 5,000 a month. That's too high, Giselle. It's only like 20,000 pesos a year, like 2,000 a month. Talagang they are squeezed. And like Eloy was beginning to say earlier, if we do not help them, the coconut industry just might collapse. So anyway, I'll stop at that. Maybe we can ask everybody to make a 30-second introduction. Konti lang naman tayo o 20 lang tayo, we can do it in 10 minutes. Okay, let's go. We'll start with whoever. Una si Vic, since he's the speaker. Vic? Vic Ilag.
Okay. Vic Ilag po, based sa Melbourne, UPLD, 1985, bago nag-PhD.
Okay.
Is it choppy?
No, better now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Melbourne.
Choppy. So I'm
Graduated.
choppy.
Choppy pa ba? Yeah,
Maybe,
I have to move siguro.
Turn off your
You could
video.
go ahead. Yeah, you could go ahead. Siguro I'll make some adjustments here.
Okay. Sige, maybe
I'll get closer to
10 seconds each or 15 seconds each lang. Mr. Santos, Sir Hill, and then Eloy, and then, well, of course, Toto also, and then, Dr. Lantin is here, Ray Lantin and Ino. Tito, Contado, kumusta po kayo? And then Yvonne Filart, Leslie Diaz. So can we go down the line, please? Mr. Santos?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, let me introduce myself. I am Guillermo Santos, but more known as Gil Santos because of my association with the International Wire Services and the international media like Time Magazine, Associated Press, AP Dow Jones, Economic News Service, International News Service, and then I was editor and publisher of the Times Journal Group here for 6 years, and a publisher also of the Vox Populi news magazine. In addition, I have been covering Southeast Asia, the whole of Southeast Asia and Asia, except China. That means I could not get into China because at the time that I applied for a visa, the Chinese was asking me, how come a Filipino is working for Time and Life magazine. You must be a CIA agent. So they denied me the visa.
Yeah,
You know,
okay.
yeah.
Hey.
So I have been looking at the coconut industry, the agriculture, the fisheries as well as all the industries, because when you write for the wire services, you are supposed to be knowledgeable in all, but a master of nothing. So that means I know nothing. That's why I'm now listening. But yeah, when there is a need for you to ask me questions, then I can contribute some probably. That's my that's my credentials, and that has been my life for the last professional life for the last 82 plus years. I am guilty of being accused of being 89 years old now.
Fantastic. So,
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Santos.
Yeah.
So we'll now go to Eloy. Quickly, Eloy, maybe 10, 15 seconds, and we will start with our presentations right after. Eloy? Eloy is not speaking.
Yes. Okay. Now, do you hear me?
Yes, quickly now.
Okay. So I am Eloy, a retired professor of agricultural economics, UP Los Baños. I was a former administrator of UPLB and former administrator of Philippines Cooperative Development Authority, former PCRDF Research Fellow, Philippine Coconut Research Development Foundation Fellow, and a coconut farmer.
Okay, thank you. Good.
Let's ask Mr. Barcelona. Let's ask Mr. Barcelona.
Mr. Barcelona, of course.
And Julius, the son. Toto, can you unmute? Mr. Barcelona, can you unmute and introduce yourself? Hello, you're muted. Toto. Okay, there you go.
Barcelona, president of Harvest Agribusiness Corporation, and I'm very happy to be together with the cream.
It's very So Ben, do you hear it clearly, or is it choppy? You have to tell
Garbled Toto.
So video.
Very choppy.
Very
maybe
choppy.
Well, your video is not on, but maybe you can find another location where the signal is good.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, maybe we can move on. And anyway, Toto will introduce himself again later before he speaks. Is that all right? Can we go to Dr. Ray Lantin, please?
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Ray Lantin. I was a former dean of the College of Engineering and Agro-Industrial Technology, UPLB. I worked with the SCAP, the UN, on machinery, and was head of the Agricultural Engineering Department of Erie once. I know what is to be poor because our family had only a 3-hectare farm. Well, of course, another 3 hectares because our spinster auntie had also another 3 hectares inherited, so 6 hectares. But those 6 hectares supported us as young. That was in the 40s, 80s, 50s. And that was enough. Coconut industry was in glorious times then, siguro. But those were hard times also. So that's my coconut. I saw some technologies copied from UPLB in the South Pacific, Western Samoa, and they copied it from us. And I thought maybe we could copy them back and improve it some more. Thank you.
Should do that po, Dr. Lantin. Maraming salamat po for joining us.
Thank you.
So now it's Dr. Ino Lansigan to introduce himself. He's our PAASE board member, and he's the point person for these types of initiatives in PAASE having to do with agriculture and aquaculture. Ino?
Okay, magandang hapon po sa atin lahat. I'm Ino Lansigan. Pare-retired ko lang pong Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences sa UPLB last November. So as mentioned, I'm with the board of directors of PAASE in charge of the agri-aqua projects and related activities of the association. Maraming pong salamat.
Maraming salamat, Ino. Dr. Tito Contado, please. Thanks for joining us.
Yes. My name is Tito Contado. I grew up in a coconut region, and my grandfather was a coconut farmer in Eastern Samar. That's the one that brought us out of Eastern Samar. I have been a professor of Baños and director of extension, but I spent 22 years with the United Nations, 20 years with FAO, and 2 years with UNICEF in Indonesia. But since I retired from FAO, from Italy, I came back, my wings on entrepreneurship to produce mature research output of our country. And since 21, I have become the founding president of Phil Morinda Citrofolia Incorporated, the producer of a dietary supplement called Phil Noni, and it is sold in Mercury Drug, and it's also exported to Italy. So I'm interested in the topic because of my background and my interest in entrepreneurship. Thank you.
Maraming salamat po, Dr. Contado. You're famous for very many things, pero po yung noni talagang kilalang-kilala po yun. So, putoy na produkto po. And makikita ninyo yung discussion natin tungkol sa Eastern Visayas, where you are from. No? And we know that it's a coconut country also. So, maraming salamat for joining us. Next, we have Dr. Cesar Gomez. Dr. Gomez, Cesar? Yes?
Good afternoon. I am not a doctor. Okay, I'm a member of CAMP, and I'm also with the Management Association of the Philippines Agribusiness and Countryside Development Foundation as Vice Chairman. I'm very interested in the coconut industry. In fact, I've done 1 or 2 studies, and I suggest for the PAASE in this group to understand RA 11524, which is supposed to free up the use of the coconut levy funds. Thank you.
Thank you, Cesar, for joining us. So we have many friends in camp and also in MAP. Okay, so now we'll go to Leslie Diaz, Dr. Leslie from UP Diliman Engineering. Leslie?
Good afternoon po sa lahat. Mukhang ngayon po ko po pwedeng sabihin na medyo ako yung pinakabata yata sa ating meeting ngayong hapon na ito. Ako po ay isang engineering faculty member, particularly sa materials engineering. Nagtuturo rin po ako sa material science and engineering at saka sa Envi engineering. So nandito po ako because I'm interested to actually look at development of material products, no, that can come from coconut. Kasi parang iniisip ko, it's one of the very promising renewable resources we have in the country. So yun po, ma'am, that's all. Thank you.
Maraming salamat, Leslie, for making time this afternoon. Next, we have Yvonne Filart. May we hear from you, Yvonne? Dr. Yvonne? She was one of the earliest to join our group today. Yvonne, would you like to say something? While Yvonne is, we're waiting for her, we would like to hear from Dr. Vera Cruz of the Erie. Yes. Dr. Vera Cruz?
Okay. Good afternoon po. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Ma'am Giselle. I'm also an alumnus of UPLB and a balik scientist in about 2017. And then ngayon po, I'm a retired scientist from Erie and still a consultant at Erie din po. My brother-in-law is a coconut farmer, so from Aurora. So would be interested to learn more about the coconut. But when I was at UPLB, I was also working on coconut disease. So thank you very much po.
Yes, thank you so much po. So I will now, well, of course, Dr. Vera Cruz is also a PAASE member. Okay, so we'd like to hear from our TIP official, Dr. Roberto. I cannot read your surname now, but TIP is one of the partners of PAASE, Technological Institute of the Philippines. Anything to do with technology and manufacturing equipment and design, TIP is there to help us, no? So would you like to speak?
Sir Robert, unmute.
Good afternoon, everyone po. So, from the Technological Institute of the Philippines, Manila, and I'm the program chair of Electronics Engineering Department, and I'm also interested po with about this status of coconut farming in the Philippines. That's why I'm here this afternoon.
Maraming salamat, Dr. De La Cruz and the whole TIP team. Always loyal, always present at the PAASE Fireside Chats. This is episode 28 of our Fireside Chats. Thank you so much.
Thank you po.
I would like to request the representative of the Leyte governor in charge of agriculture to speak. And I'd like to thank our PAASE stalwart, former PAASE president and DLSU outstanding Professor Alvin Culaba for arranging for his participation today. And Alvin will speak to us in a bit. Yes, please. Andyan na ba po kayo? Pwede ba kayo magsalita ng kaunti?
Hello, good afternoon po.
Oh,
I'm Imelda Schubert, the OIC actually ng Provincial Agriculture Office. And I know that I have much to learn from all of you. Good afternoon.
Naku, maraming salamat, Imelda, for joining us, no? So, well, we look forward to your participation next Friday again when we sign the MOU with the EVSU and maybe the provincial governor himself will be present. At this point, So at this point, I'm really honored to introduce our PAASE member, former President Alvin Culaba of De La Salle University. Alvin?
Yeah, hi Giselle and everyone here in this particular chat. It's been amazing now to bring together the many experts and knowledgeable people on this particular industry. I'm from actually Tacloban, waray ako, no? And we have seen the massive traction that was actually as a result of
May we request everyone to mute, please, except for Alvin. Thank you. Yes, Alvin.
Anyway, thank you. Yeah, we have actually seen the massive destruction of the industry, primarily coconut, because of Yolanda, and that was 2013 ba yun? So it's been a while, no? That's precisely why they are currently in Leyte. They have diversified the development of the industry, for the farmers, and not rely on a particular industry like the coconut, because that is actually what happens. And you know very well in Region 8 or in Leyte that we are visited by typhoons, 10, 12 typhoons every year, strong, very strong, and it has really devastated the coconut industry. And we need a lot of, ideas that we need, how to bring back the industry or the coconut industry in Leyte. I'm very happy, Imelda, that you are able to join us, because this is important that we hear what our experts or colleagues here are going to say. And probably that's something we can discuss when I get back to Tacloban in about 2 weeks' time. So let's see how we can bring the ideas from here, to help our coconut farmers and the industry as an industry, back to its feet. So thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen.
And I can see Ernie Pernia. Sabay kong balik
Wow, Ernie, have you joined us? Oh, yes.
Ernie, Dr.
Ernie,
Pernia.
please. Yes.
Oh, nandiyan pala si, Sir
Kapapasok lang ni Ernie.
Yeah.
Ernie. Naka-mute ka, Ernie.
Unmute, please, Ernie.
Yes, yeah.
Ayan.
Yeah, I've been around and just dealing with something, other tasks. Okay. Yeah. Well, coconut is a very important product in the Visayas, including Bohol. So that's why I'm interested, like Alvin Kulaba.
Oh, yes, it's natural. Siyempre, Bohol is like a wow. A leading province that we support fully. Yes. Source of many of our intellectuals also in UP and elsewhere, no? So
I guess the only people who haven't talked yet are the Barcelona's father and son. Maybe Julius,
yeah, Julius.
Julius, can you say something before we get started?
Hello.
Yes, Julius, good to see you. Okay.
Hi.
Yeah.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm Julius Barcelona. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Harvest Agribusiness Corporation. Also a bit of a joke because I'm a COO. I'm also the child of the owner, which is the president, my dad, Arsenio Barcelona. So very happy to be with you all today. Hope we'll be able to share quite a bit of knowledge with each other, especially among such esteemed scientific minds. Thank you.
Okay, let's get rolling. I think we're done with everybody.
Yeah,
Thanks,
we'll get
Julius.
rolling.
We'll get to you later. Okay, let's start with Vic Ilag.
Share screen, Vic.
Vic, you're on.
Yes. And then everyone type your questions in the chat box or raise your hand later.
Sorry.
And we request everyone to mute except for Vic. Vic, we can't hear you.
Mahinang audio.
Vic, can you start again? You were on mute. We could not hear your voice. Vic, can you unmute, please?
Yeah, could you hear me now? Yeah, sorry.
All right,
Yes,
start from the first slide, please.
Yeah.
And then share your screen and then unmute.
Okay, could you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, loud and clear. All right, so I'll talk about Plentex. I've been associated with this company. Plentex is an Australian company. Just to give you a brief history, it was founded in the 1980s as a mining company. Then about in 2010, they shifted to biofuels and working with algae. And about 8-9 years ago, they shifted towards aquaculture and microalgae. I joined them 8 years ago to spin out their microalgae project to develop antifungal and dermatological products, and we're selling that already in a pharmacy. So early this year, I stepped down to work part-time to work as a balik scientist, but at the same time, I've been a director of Plentex. So we have 4 companies in the Philippines. We have subsidiaries there, and our focus actually is in Leyte and Samar. And as I'll show you here, we're working essentially with 3 different projects on rice, cassava milling, but we'll be talking about coconut processing as well as aquaculture. Just to give you a bit of story behind it. So when Plentex started to move, actually we have a colleague who's based in Tacloban, and the original plan was to develop aquaculture. But because aquaculture is and develop a aqua feed ingredient plant, but since it's energy intensive, one of the things my colleagues discovered was there are some resources in the Tacloban Leyte, Samar area that could be utilized to satisfy our needs for an aquaculture or aqua feed plant, and that's where it came up to work on developing rice as well as coconut processing. So with the rice mill, what we wanted to do here, and it's in the midst of building a modern rice milling and drying plant, is to disrupt the current practice of palay. Because one of the reasons Filipino rice farmers are marginalized is they have to sell their palay as dried, which leads to a lot of wastage. As you could see, I think even up to today, I think when you visit the Philippines, they dry palay in the roads, which is very inefficient. So what we've worked out, and we have a business plan on it, is that we will purchase wet palay, and actually the farmers would be able to improve their cash flow. So I'm not going to spend too much of time. We're also developing a cassava mill, as well as developing a sweet potato drying plant, because we have shown that Pro and K, a fermented kamote, could be a good substitute for aqua feeds. And we've shown that it could replace 100% soybean meal. So I'm not going to talk about. So we're also involved in seaweed farming, because we have a project with Professor Trono. We're developing red seaweeds again. We've acquired a site in Samar, which was an EU-funded hatchery plant, which was abandoned. We've acquired that and we're refurbishing it. And we're developing that as a hatchery for both seaweeds as well as molobicos, the salt-tolerant tilapia. So we have an agreement with BFAR on it to be one of the breeding centers for it. So, okay, so here's now the topic for today, coconut overview. So one of the interests we found out when we discovered working with Lake Tacloban, so we've acquired a 5-hectare area in the northern part of Tacloban in Suhi. And one of the, here are some coconut facts. So the Eastern Visayas region turns out to be the second highest coconut producer in the country with 46 million trees. And Leyte has about 168,000 hectares. And to our knowledge, when we were planning the development of our coconut processing plant, there's no coconut processing plant for multi-product, which I will discuss later. So based on our projections, on the plant we're planning to establish, at full production, we'll be needing 39 million nuts, and Leyte produces about 740 million nuts, so about 6%. But what's interesting about our project, which I'll show here, is that we're focused on developing high-value cocoa products. So everything in the nut, we will, as well as the waste, we will fully utilize. So we have a complete valorization of the coconut fruit. So from there, the idea is to produce coconut water, and following this process, not only the coconut meat as copra, but there's that white outer layer, which is the testa. It's paired off to produce paring oil. And from that white, the leftover white meat is washed and dried. We could extract virgin coconut oil and then have desiccated coconut, which will then converted to coconut flour. So of course, there are other wastes in this, and I think we could also utilize this for other high-value products as compressed peat, as well as coir fiber, which is often used for furniture, for upholstery, especially in cars, luxury cars. So this is our phase 2, just to give you an idea of what we plan to do. So I mentioned the different 7 products we have. In our site, the idea is 100% of the coconut will be used. At our site in Suhi, we have an on-site process water dam, which we already have established there. And since the region has millions of unprocessed coconuts every year, to our knowledge, as I mentioned, there's no coconut mill in the Visayas region of the Philippines. So our understanding at this point, processing the whole coconut for multi-products strategy. I think there are some coconut oil processing plants, but they're not focused on the whole coconut multi-product strategy, which I described below previously. So we had a budget for that. We haven't started this, and I'll show you where our plans are because our focus initially has to be on the rice milling. But when this opportunity came, and I mentioned it to Giselle, that it's worth discussing. So this will be built on our Suhi Lot 2, which is close to a water dam which have built. This has been delayed mainly because of COVID. So we've completed a study, feasibility study of this, but because of changes in the market in terms of parts, I think this has to be needs to be updated as well as detailed engineering. So in terms of process, this is how we conceive how it's going to be done. So the key feature, as you'll see here, from the whole coconut, we could all the way from the husk will be converted to products, and all the way here you'll have multiple products and not just copra as the product. So you'll have coconut water concentrate, paring oil, which is a high value oil, then virgin coconut oil, as well as coconut flour, which is very attractive, especially with the gluten-free market. So the key feature of our plant is we'll extract maximum value from each whole nut. We anticipate that our plant will process 100,000 nuts a day, including 30,000 dehusked nuts, and will produce equipped with the latest coconut processing plant to produce virgin coconut oil. And in terms of the whole nuts will be dehusked, will be sourced from buying stations. We're following the same model we have for the rice milling. We will be buying directly from the farmers, wet palay, as in terms of rice, and so we would like to form relationships, and that's what things from based on the buying stations we're establishing in the eastern growing areas of Leyte and Eastern Visayas. So this just gives you a 5-year plan. Yeah, I think I still have time. So as pointed out, so we're here in this part right now building the Suhi project for rice milling. Our plans is to list. So Plentex Limited used to be a listed company, you mean registered in the Australian Stock Exchange. We delisted about 7 years ago because of a change of business. The plan is to list again in the Australian Stock Exchange sometime next year. And the funds we raise that we will be using to fund the coconut processing plant. Again, that's the plan we have, but of course there's opportunities that we could also explore. And then from that, we will then continue developing other projects from our aquaculture, as well as R&D projects for seaweeds, as well as this alternative foods feed supplement. So that just gives you an idea. I thought give you an idea of what we were planning to do with coconut processing of high value products in our location in Suhi, Tacloban, Leyte. Thank you.
Ben, we'll ask Vic one quick question.
Yeah.
Okay. How would your plan help lift the bottom half?
Absolutely, good question.
For your farmers?
So if you follow one idea we have, I mean, a few things. So we're following the similar model we have planned for the rice. So one of the things we want to disrupt is the value chain in the rice farming, where we could buy directly from the farmers. What palay? So one aspect is we could be the purchaser of the nuts of the farmers. So there would be a direct buying because processing is a high value product that we could generate. So instead of the farmers transporting, they would have a closer place to market. Of course, the alternative is, I think, in light of the levy fund, is if this is capital that could be raised for the farmers, we're open to have this as an equity. If they're willing to be part of Plentex, they could use this as leverage as equity in the processing plant to be part as a shareholder and participate. Not only a processing plant, but as you saw, the different projects we have is a matter of spreading the risk and could participate, that they could be part of a developing company on top of them purchasing their products.
How do they get equity? How do the farmers get equity? How can they participate in the?
Well, if they have their funds, I mean, we're a public unlisted. So once we list, they would have shares then of the Plentex.
They do not have capital. The farmers have capital.
I thought, no, that's what I was thinking. If you have the levy fund goes to them.
No, not the levy fund doesn't include money going outright to the coconut farmers. Wala silang cash. They have scholarships, they'll get seedlings, they will get help, mechanization and so on, but they will not get any cash. So you will basically be using them as producers of nuts.
Yeah, so we would be the direct purchaser. So there would be the market for their nuts immediately. Because to my understanding, currently they do not have any purchases of their immediate products.
So
When I heard another symposia, the people who have mills, just like what you're proposing, they find ways to help the farmers another way. Yung kanilang corporate social responsibility, but they go beyond that. Maybe you could look at those also, yung models na yon, na hindi lang sila selling of nuts to you. Anyway, that's one of the things we could explore later. But right now, what I can say is, since they won't have any cash, they'll simply sell the nuts to you. That's something we have discussed later. Okay.
Yes, Giselle, may have the floor.
This is Eloy. Okay, quick lang before then we go to Toto. Yes, you and then
Vic,
Leslie.
Vic, I suppose you are the son of Yodi Ilag.
Yeah. Yes. Opo.
Yes, okay, now I know. Now, I like your model because this model had been tried for so long in Calamba, producing multiple products in a given setup. Now, may I ask you, in a given, let's say 1,000 nuts, what is the equivalent value of a nut given the multiple products produced? I ask this because I would like to compare it to the buying price of coconut that can be, given to the farmers if this setup will be put in place.
I have to be frank with you. So I don't have the numbers on top of my head, but we have a financial plan with that. I mean, we'd be more than willing to discuss that further.
That is the most critical thing.
All right.
We can talk of so many models, but if in the end, the farm gate price of coconut will not be increased, and if in the end farmers will not participate in the value addition in the entire vertical process, then farmers will have very little income.
Sure, I perfectly agree with you. Actually, that's the challenge we had when we were setting up, and even right now with the rice milling, because when we were, and this has been a struggle for us, especially with the Philippines, people said that we're crazy, we can't do it. Why? Because but the technology's there. You have to buy the palay at wet price. The wet palay. But so you can't do that because the traders buy it. But we worked our model that we could make money out of it and the farmers could make money out of it. But we're stuck with investors in the Philippines that it's not gonna work. So it's typical Aussie mentality. You can't tell an Aussie nothing's impossible. So we're banging heads. We're gonna make it possible.
Yes. Okay. We're gonna explain. Excuse me, Eloy. Let me just comment.
Okay.
No? So I think what Vic told us is you're going to change the farm gate price by trying to make the trader less important, or there's a way through technology
sure.
and location of the plant to get more money to the farmers.
Yes.
Second, we already all know how coconut can be processed as various nutraceuticals and nutrition products. And let's not forget the work of Julian Banzon, our national scientist.
Yes,
and we have all of the information there, even the chemistry and the biochemistry and the processes, okay? So that will just be fine-tuned and
can I make one more comment before we...
hindi copra-based, no? Hindi, desiccated coconut-based, no? Eloy and Ben, right?
I'd like to say something, Giselle.
Yes.
Considering the questions we've raised, Vic, don't take it negatively. We appreciate the fact that Aussies are investing in the Philippines. Let's just work out a way so that the farmers can get more value. But we welcome you to come to the Philippines.
That is the STI ecosystem that the global STI ecosystem that PAASE champions, no? So we can talk about the details of this later. But at this point, Vic, you did not touch the part on the exocarp or the coconut husk. So for this, I'm going to request Leslie.
I thought it was for Leslie.
Because hindi mo diniscuss.
Giselle.
Afterwards, Alvin. Yes.
Sorry, I just want to a quick question.
Your equipment.
Kay Vic. Vic, what's the prospect of developing cocoa sugar from the cocoa industry.
Iba yan. Ibang ano
Iba
yan.
ba yun?
Oo,
Yeah, ibang part.
Iba.
Iba
Iba
yan.
yung cocoa sugar. Oo.
Iba pa yun. Iba pang part.
Iba
Yeah.
Iba pa
Iba
yun,
pang
no?
part yun. Okay.
Ibang part, yeah.
Ito muna.
I want to respond to that. There is a company which is concentrating on cocoa sugar. Ang problema, if the moment you go to cocoa sugar, you give up the nuts. It's one or the other.
Yeah, that's
So there will be one, hopefully in Quezon, which will be put up to specialize on cocoa sugar.
Pero,
Anyway, can I?
and that can be solved technologically, equipment-wise. And
Okay.
Alvin here has already
we developed.
designed and piloted a coconut equipment.
Automated,
processing
yeah.
equipment. Alvin.
Oo.
Thank
Pero
Oo, meron niyang mga...
to kina Mr. Barcelona.
Okay, saglit lang, no? Para noon matapos na yung part non coconut product development before we go to intercropping. May I request Leslie Diaz to speak on the coconut products from the exocarp or the coconut husk, because we want to use every part of the coconut fruit. Leslie, please.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. Ma'am, may I share a few slides?
Of course, it's multiple sharing now. You may. And then it's all Toto na. Afterwards, lahat na kay Toto at kay Julius.
All right, sige po. Can you see? Can you see now?
Now, yes.
All right. Ma'am, I just really did a very quick parang cursory review of the different products that we can get from the coconut shell and the exocarp, that can be converted into some valuable material products. So here are some references I've taken from, like in this case, you can see on the screen from the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare in India. And you can see there that they are converting the coconut shell into some sort of parang interior products for design sa loob ng bahay. And you can also see some of it converted into the coconut powder. I was trying to look for the application of this coconut shell powder, but I was not able to find immediately. But I think one of the most important products from coconut shell is your coconut shell charcoal, or most importantly, your activated carbon, because activated carbon has a lot of applications in water filtration, air filtration, which is of course vital in everyday living. The other products that are taken from the coconut shell, the exocarp, you can see here, ito is a composite material that can be used for basins, pwede siyang pang containers, basically. It's a composite material, even for cleaning, for matting, for this one was shown earlier by Sir Vic. These other parts has been shown as part of the different the slides, the flow diagram of Sir Vic earlier. So these are easy to produce products, I think, And one of the things that is also promising, because there is a lot of need for shelter and construction in the Philippines. This is one reference that I got, that there is a use of these cocoa boards, affordable building materials made from coconut husks. And the good thing about this is it doesn't need any binder, because the lignin in it can already serve as a binder. But of course, because of the I guess relatively speaking, inherent weakness of the material compared to other construction materials, this probably will have to define which particular part of the structure these kind of products will have to be or can be employed. Moving forward, this is one university in Germany. I think you're gonna check where exactly, but he's one of the popular references, or one of the popular, I should say, if you look at publications, he is one of the frequently referred to researcher that made that cocoa board without any addition of a binder, because of lignin already serving as a binder of the cocoa fiber, the cellulose part of the exocarp. Moving further, this one is interesting because this is a popular a company that made use, you can see at the bottom of the screen, it's Ford, that made use of the coconut as a component in the car. It's a car part, And the company Essentium, they're actually working in the Philippines right now looking for sources. No, they're working with several farmers as the publication, or as these two literature references here. You can check on them. They're saying that they're working in the Philippines to source out their coconut fiber that can be used for the fabrication of these composite material for the car part. Okay. Moving forward, these are new publications that I found. These are essentially, I guess, at the research level yet, nothing in the commercial scale yet. So lignin is now considered a natural resource with huge potential because of it being a possible source of petroleum. At the lower part of this particular literature, it is tagged as lignin as the new petroleum, because lignin essentially has uses, or the building blocks of lignin that you can see on the right side of our screen are actually alcohols that can be components, or can be manufactured or synthesized into biofuels. Moving forward, the other component that can be extracted from coconut basically is the lignin as well as the cellulose part of it. No? So here you can see that lignin is used as part of a retardant component in polymer systems. And at the bottom, the lower part of our screen, you can also see cellulose nanofibrils, a nanotechnology basically that now takes advantage of the nanocrystal, the high quality cellulose in coconut. No? So as a cellulose material, nanofibril, it has a lot of applications. This one I just quickly grabbed from Worldwide Sciences. It has applications in biomedical, in oil absorption, in membrane fabrication, in pharmaceuticals, biocomposites, and I may say also biopolymers, no, the biodegradable polymers. The popular cellophane is actually made coming from cellulose, and if it can be coming from nanocellulose, maybe there's a chance that it can be of stronger, better quality, so that it can have more applications compared to the current set of applications of the cellophane biodegradable polymer. So I guess that's it. That's it. That's the end of my slide, Ma'am Giselle. I hope I shared something that will be valuable.
Fantastic, Leslie. We should have posted you as a third speaker, but this is exactly what we wanted to share with our audience, because we already know about VCO and desiccated coconut milk, even coconut yogurt. But then this is really an area where we can immediately advance. And also we should mention nanocomposite materials, where you can use these biopolymers from coconut, nanofibrils, nanocellulose whiskers, and then you can dope it with some synthetic polymers to adjust or modify the properties as needed. And we already have the facility for this built by the DOST, which is the Additive Manufacturing Center of the DOST. And our lead advisor there was a PAASE stalwart and former president, just like Alvin, Gobet Advincula, who is a world leader in this kind of technology, additive manufacturing technology and advanced materials using biopolymers and synthetic polymers. So we have this rich resource of experts in PAASE, and in this field we have Leslie in UP Diliman Engineering. So thanks so much, Leslie. Now, Ben, the floor is all yours, and that of Toto and Julius. Thank you so much.
Dr. Diaz said they should talk with Dick Ilag. Anyway, it's so okay. Now we move on to a more practical matter. We already said that the income of coconut farmers is incredibly low. And I've had discussions with Tito Contado here. Sabi niya, you need at least 12 hectares. But I've known Toto Barcelona long enough na there is a solution that the Barcelonas can tell us. Now, we say that 90% of the coconut lands are 2 hectares. And sabi ni Tito, hindi doable yan. You have to have a large tracts of land. But I think Mr. Barcelona can tell us using other technologies, intercropping, because sabi ni Toto, as long as you have 70% of the land light coming through, you can have As little as 2,000 square meters, Tito. 2,000 square meters, kikita ka. And I think that's the possibility. Now, we can raise the income of the farmers. Hindi lang coconut. Let's utilize the land, utilize whatever is available to us. So I really welcome yung presentation ni Julius sa Toto. Because we're looking so much at coconut, but the coconut will only produce so much money. This is, ang tingin ko, this is a low-lying fruit. And with the Saxarian's experience, Mr. Barcelona can explain to us. Julius was also in that symposium we had on food security. So all of this, in terms of feeding the country, particularly during now, the time of COVID, ang mahal-mahal ng vegetables ngayon. The Barcelonas can offer us solutions. Julius, it's yours.
Good afternoon. Hi, good afternoon. I'm Toto Barcelona. No? Before I turn the floor to my son, he's going to discuss more on the intercrops. I'm going to give you a situationer. I always love to give situationers before we discuss on the solution. No? So as Dr. Castillo was saying, the coconut industry is a dying industry. No, so it has some truth to it, no, because well, my exposure to the coconut industry, the coconut farmers, had been through Picard. No, I sit in the governing council for 8 years already, and my trips to the south, no, especially Leyte, Samar, Bicol. No, I've seen the fallen trees, no, or the bald coconut trees right after Yolanda, because we were involved with the SM Foundation project, no, Kabalikat sa Kabuhayan. We were training vegetable farmers, so that was a special case wherein we selected 4 towns in Leyte and Samar, no, to train farmers for extra income, no, during this time of calamity. Wala talaga sila income. So anyway, so I don't think the industry is dying. It has many potentials, as Vic was telling us. They have new products, and Engineer Leslie also gave us more insights into what can be done, no? But if you notice, these are all big investment projects. So we are trying to direct ourselves to what will benefit the small farmers. Now, the small farmers, as Dr. Ben was saying, no, wala silang pera. Where will they invest? No? So yung importante is to review what products, no, or byproducts can we derive from coconut that needs less capital and maybe a cooperative effort on a group of farmers. It doesn't have to be a big cooperative, no? It can be 10 farmers working together and set up a choir producing plant, no? Coconut choir is a big item, no? It has many possibilities, like geomat, no? For geomembrane, for anti-erosion. China is a very big market for that. And there are already investors in that. And then another byproduct I would say would be VCO. You can do VCO at home in your backyard. So maybe what they have to do is to upgrade the facility, no? Hindi naman pwede yung mano-mano, no? No, but I think 5 guys investing together with financing from Land Bank or DA ACPC facility, it's possible. And this can improve their income. Cocoa sugar is another thing. And then cubes. You know, I was surprised when I was in Taiwan. No? They import a lot of cubes. No? Coconut husk cubes for orchids, horticulture use. And you know where it came from? Sri Lanka. Nothing from the Philippines. So another thing we can look into is cocoa shell charcoal. Dr. Diaz also mentioned that. No, cocoa shell charcoal is a very versatile product because you can further process it to activated carbon, no, used for industrial filtration, no, or food processing. So these are maybe activated carbon di kaya ng coconut farmers, but to produce charcoal kayang-kaya, no, and coconut shell charcoal can be used also for horticulture, no. And of course, you have the cocoa pit. Alam mo, ang cocoa pit is a very important product for plants, no? Seedlings. Harvest, we have been making our own grow well medium made from cocoa pit, no? But sanitized. You have to wash it, I think 2 or 3 times to remove the salt. And then you mix it with rice, carbonized rice hull with vermicast, and you have a product. We sell a lot. And this can be done by 2 or 3 farmers. So they just have to know how to do it. Okay. So we are trying to address now poverty or affecting the income level of coconut farmers. So we should look into processing the byproducts that are viable and doable by these farmers. Now, what do they need? They need mentoring, no, to run a business. Alam mo, yung mga coconut farmers natin are so disorganized. Hindi lang disorganized, wala talagang organization. No, kanya-kanya ba? And then it's a lazy man's farming product. I was telling Dr. Ben the other day, no? Kaya mahirap, sabi ko, if you want to convert them to become high-value farmers or high-value crops farmers, we have to look into their attitude. Alam mo, yung coconut farmer, mag-aantay lang yan eh. Hindi yan sanay na bantayan, diligan yung gulay, no? Araw-araw, no? So, talking about vegetables, I would like to bring this up na rin, no? Intercropping doesn't mean that you have to plant in between the trees strictly, no? If we are addressing income or livelihood, maybe they can clear up 2,000 square meters and then really do intensive farming, no? Pero importante for this type of intercropping, high value crops, no, you need water, no? So my son will talk more about possibilities in that, no? Now, we have to see also, no, there are investment possibilities. Kaya lang, mayroon mga high funding project like what VIX group is doing, no? Malaki ang investment dyan. Ang problema lang dyan, the farmers are just raw material supplier. No, kaya maganda yung program ni Vic na they will become equity partners. No? Pero yung question naman ni Ben, saan sila kukuha ng pera? No, so siguro you can find a way, no? Baka for every kilo of copra they supply the plant, no? That's a percentage, parang levy ba? Na ina-accumulate lang until such time, maybe 2 years, 3 years, mayroon na sila baka 10 shares of stock, no? So hindi necessarily cash out sa kanila. Imposible yan eh. But then if you build it into the pricing,
sure,
since Vic is willing to double or triple the price, pero triple is still 15,000 a month, no? So it cannot raise a whole family. So siguro pwede nyo gawin niya. Ito suggestion lang yun. Another thing that should be looked into, no? Yung sa increasing the income of the farmers, aside from the looking into small enterprises using the byproduct, is really to look into farm community development. Ito trabaho na ito ng LGU, no? Hindi pwede yung farmer, coconut farmer, 10 kilometro, 5 kilometro, isang bahay. How can you service? It's not even a community, no? So kailangan sila ay magtitira sa isang community wherein basic services can be provided. Kasi that's one of the causes of poverty. wala silang social services na available. Pero mo kung na sumakit yung tiyan, hindi na alam saan pupunta, wala nga clinic. No, punta sa barangay, walang gamot, no? So this should be the job, no, for the local government unit. No, at saka kung sino man ma-involve, no, sa helping the coconut farmers have a better life, no. It's not only income, it's the lifestyle, how they live, no. Yung mga anak nila kailan should be able to go to school, hindi 5 kilometro lalakarin, isang pamilya 10 kilometro, wala mangyari dyan, no. But if they live within a community, no, with security, with health services, with access to food, water, and sanitation, and there's a school there, then you will really uplift, no, the life of the farmers, no. And this is very critical, no. No, kasi yung sabi mo, ina-address mo yung poverty, hindi lang yung income, increasing the 5,000 to 10,000, nothing will happen to their life. No, so we have to look into that. And then I'm sure our scientists have many ideas also, no, how to go about this. And then yung isang very important I'd like to really bring up, no, yung R&D program natin sa coconut is lousy. PCA Zamboanga, the last time I heard, has only one full-time scientist. At saka magre-retire na. Hindi ko alam kung nag-retire na kasi that was 5 or 6 years ago. No? Another working R&D station is the one in Bicol. No? They're researching on the new breeds, yung mga tall varieties. Apparently, yung coconut, di ba, marami na tayo dwarf. Our thinking is, bakit hindi dwarf lahat para hindi mo naakyatin? Yung mga tall will last longer. They will last for several decades, no? Fruiting. Itong mga short, hindi tatagal. Although it's easier, no? So itong short, we can plant the fragrant, no? Yung aromatic coconut, no? Like the one from Thailand. They have this dwarf coconut for the buko juice and the buko market. Alam mo, laki yan, no? Pero tayo sa Philippines, we drink more soft drinks than buko. Yung buko juice, magkano lang isang buko? 27. Pagdating sa supermarket, baka 40. Pero mas mura pa rin yan sa orange juice na imported. No? Kaya lang, it's not readily available. You know, in Thailand, you can buy this buko, yung dihas na may pa nga flip top. You can just imagine, no, yung coco shell, may flip top and then you can already put a straw and drink it. Iba sila magtrabaho, no? Tayo, I don't think we are stupid, no? We are not just thinking right, no, to develop markets. You know, Thailand is exporting to China. Yung buko, yung nakadihas na, and then naka-shrink wrap pa. No, so these are possibilities. Kaya kanina yung mga sinasabi nito, no, yung mga cocoa sugar, you know, cocoa sugar has a big potential kasi it's a health food, no? It's a substitute for sugar. And Japan, si Alter Trade sa Bacolod, they're already producing muscovado, no? Si Mr. Lau in Mindanao is producing cocoa sugar. Yung large scale na talaga, no? Pero ang large scale niyan, hindi pa rin yung scale na makapatulong sa farmers, no? Now, how can the farmers make money from this industrial investment? If they are organized, no? Yung kanina yung suggestion ko, parang levy pa rin na hindi nila maramdaman na naglalabas sila ng pera. Yung pala bawat kilo na binibenta nila na kopra o bawat nut na binibenta nila, mayroon na pala silang investment na pumapasok sa company. And this company should be managed professionally. Alam mo, we have to remove the thinking na cooperative, yun ang solution, cooperative. Many of our cooperatives do not work. You know why? They're not managed. Hindi mo masabi managed properly. They are not managed, period. So how can you expect, no? No, I sit in the mentoring sa Go Negosyo, no? Yung mga business improvement plan nila. You can just imagine, no, po, they attend how many weeks of classes, and then pagdating ng financial projection 5 years from now, yung income ng cooperative 10,000 a month. Sabi ko, inuloko niyo sarili niyo. Kaya ganun ba? There's something wrong with the way we think, with the way we do things. So ito, kaya gusto ko talaga i-diin ito, no? Let's start where we should start. Before we give the solution. Kasi yung basic problem, hindi sa solution, nasa tao, nasa farmer natin, nasa kanilang farm, no? Yung structure ng farm, no? So we have to address that first, no? And then last point ko lang is if we intercrop, the main objective is to increase income. 'Di ba? So let's do it right, no? Alisin natin yung thinking, magtanim ako in between the trees. Well, that's one solution. That's the easy way out, no? But then if I look into, let's say, yung farmland niya malapit lang sa Metro Manila, like sa Quezon sila, Laguna. Laguna, wala na yata ang coconut. Quezon, marami pa, no? You can clear up 1 hectare. Plant papaya. Papaya, you make 2 million in 2 years. Di ba? No? Hindi kaya ng coconut yan eh. But then, you cannot remove the coconuts. It should be there. No? But then, plants in an area wherein you can manage it properly for optimum yield. So anong kailangan mo? Hindi lang yung seeds. Kailangan magandang seeds. Kailangan may patubig. Kailangan itong mga lazy coconut farmers, sorry yung tinatamaan. No? Alam mo, they have to learn the skills. I always emphasize that when I give a talk to farmers or investors sa agriculture. Yung formula, very basic. To be successful in an agribusiness venture, you have to know 10% science yan. Bakit 10% lang? Importante ang science, no? But it's only 10% of the success story. 50% diskarte, experience. How you learn from your experience. No? Meron naman tao 10 taon na, mga farmer, tingnan mo. 10 taon na, pag nagkasakit yung anak, hihiram pa ng pera. Hindi kumikita eh. He's not learning from his experiences. And 40% character. Alam mo, it boils down to the person. Eh. Kaya sabihin mo, sinasabi nila, palpak gobyerno, mga ganun, yung coconut levy, bakit hindi pa ibigay? Pag binigay mo yan, bukas wala na yan. Character. No? They have to know how to live their lives. No? Hindi yung tuturo sa iba. Kailangan magsikap ka, mag-aral ka. No, alamin mo yung skills. Kailangan masipag ka. Binibisita mo yung farm mo. No? Kaya tama si Aristotle. The best fertilizer is the footprint of the farmer. Okay, so hanggang dyan lang. No? I give the floor now to my son, no? Julius. Maraming ideas, no, about the crops and the reason why. Thank you.
I think there's a question from Mr. Elohio Castillo first on what my dad said.
Tapusin mo muna, okay lang. Ikaw na. Go ahead.
Hi everyone. So yes, so again, I'm Julius Barcelona. I'm the CEO of Harvest. I think the topic has shifted slightly from intercropping, but I will still talk about it for a little bit. And then I'll also include a little bit of information with regard to diversification. So just a disclaimer, my expertise and experience is mostly on high value crops. I don't have as much experience with coconut, So please do note that most of what I'm going to tell you now is based on what I do know on high value crops growing and their requirements versus coconut growing and coconut's requirements. So the first major issue that we have to address when it comes to, let's talk about intercropping first. The first major issue we need to address when it comes to intercropping with coconuts is the fact that most high value crops, for example, cucurbits like gourds like squash or watermelons and melons, solanaceous crops, nightshades like eggplant or tomato, brassicas like cabbage, broccoli, and the like, and most other high value crops do not play well with coconut, unfortunately. The major reason for this is because number one, most high value crops, most of the high value crops that I just described require a very large amount of sunlight. And so trying to grow them as an intercrop with coconut is not ideal because based on some research that I did quite quickly, it seems that coconut can filter up to 54% of the sunlight that reaches the ground depending on planting density. Even just a small amount of sunlight reduction can negatively affect high value crops. And so you may be able to grow them. It's not impossible to grow these crops in between coconut, but you will have to adjust, for example, for perhaps nutritional deficiencies or agronomic deficiencies caused by the reduction in sunlight. The second issue is that coconut root systems are fairly aggressive and they don't play well with a lot of different types of crops. The water requirements as well for coconut are very different from high value crops. Coconut as a very long-term crop requires a different kind of irrigation requirement versus high value crops which last you 3 to 4 months and have different water requirements for each stage of growth. So for example, if we're talking about most common high value crops, you need a larger amount of water during the vegetative stage. So after you've transplanted the seedlings into the ground, you do need a higher quantity of water. Then when the plant starts to flower, you have to reduce the amount of water that you're giving them, then increase the amount of water again as the plant fruits, and then reduce the amount of water again as the fruit matures, which can actually negatively affect your coconut as well. So, these are some of the major issues. So I looked up what are the main crops that have been successfully intercropped in coconut, and surprisingly, based on information in Sri Lanka, India, Malaysia, and several other Southeast Asian countries, as well as South America, the most friendly, intercrop-friendly crop to coconut is actually banana for some interesting reason. So according to the basic research that I've already done talking about banana, the major reason why banana is such a good intercrop for coconut is because banana actually stores a large amount of water in the plant body, in its vegetative body, which allows the coconut to draw from that water source, apparently. So planting banana in between coconut allows you to store more water in the soil, the banana's root systems and its body. Once you've cut it down, and if you allow the banana's body to, decompose into the soil, it actually releases a lot of water. And so it's actually very friendly with coconut. The second is that their nutritional profiles are fairly similar. So the fertilizers you would be giving coconut and banana are fairly similar. It's just that coconut has a higher salinity tolerance than banana, which banana does not have as much of. So there are some people who say, please add sea salt if you're planning to grow coconut. We don't recommend that if you're planning to intercrop with banana. The third, there are some caveats though. Banana also does take up quite a lot of space. And so in the studies that I've seen in other countries, they do recommend that you don't intercrop with anything actually, with coconut, unless if the coconut is too densely planted. So in general, what's been happening in other countries is they grow coconut in lines. So the coconut is spaced lengthways very close to each other, but crossways very distant. They put quite a large distance between each of the coconut trees so that the sunlight penetration in the center of each of these corridors is very good. And the root systems of the coconut themselves do not affect the plants that you're growing, because unfortunately coconut root systems are quite aggressive and they do have a tendency to negatively affect other plants to grow underneath them. So banana has been is the most successful intercrop with coconut. To address the concern that was raised earlier, if we're talking about return on investment, so a quick search online shows that in the Philippines, on average, we have 12.69 tons per hectare of banana as of 2018. And if we're going to look at the average price of domestic banana, I'm not talking about Cavendish, domestic banana in the Philippines in 2018 had an average price of around 52 pesos. So if we're going to talk about, and then let me see, so that's 12,069 kilo, 12,690 kilos times 52 point, sorry, where's that? 52.41, oops, sorry, 52.41. So that's around 665,000 pesos per hectare. And the growing period of banana is about 18 months. Oops, sorry. So that's still a fairly decent 36,949, 37,000 peso additional income to the farmer. However, this is considering that that's a full hectare of banana. So let's just be more conservative, and let's say that half of it gets planted to banana, so divided by 2. So it's still 18,474 pesos per month if you distribute it. So it's not bad. It's not a bad additional income to the farmers if they plan to intercrop their coconut with banana. I used 18 months because that's generally, on average, the cycle of a new planting of banana. However, after a new planting of banana, that cycle decreases because you can allow the secondary shoot or the sucker of the banana to continue growing. Usually it starts to grow as the banana is already growing up as well. The main mother plant is growing as well. So after 18 months, after the first cycle of 18 months, your return actually starts to improve. So that is one of the main crops that you can consider. The other main crop that very interestingly has shown promising results, although this is not as studied, I have not found as much cost and return benefits, etc. on this, surprisingly, is the humble sweet potato, kamote po natin. So interestingly, yes.
Potato.
Yes, interestingly, ang kamote po also grows surprisingly well together with coconut. Kamote is also very hardy. It does survive a lot of different conditions, and I think it is because of that tolerance that it does grow well with coconut. Agronomically, it does have several benefits. Number one, it does act as natural mulch. So you can grow it a little bit closer to the coconut at the expense of some yield, but it does allow you to cover the soil, prevent moisture loss, prevent fertilizer loss, etc., etc. And so it does have certain agronomic benefits to coconut. The second is that kamote, surprisingly, akala natin, sabihin natin, uwi ka na lang, magtanim ka na lang ng kamote. But kamote is actually very profitable. So currently, the average yield of kamote is around 20,000 kilos per hectare if you're planting a full hectare of kamote. It can go up to around 30, it can be less, but let's call it around 20. This is based on some information that I got from the Department of Agriculture. And the price, wholesale price of kamote in the Philippines is around 22.7 pesos per kilo in 2017. So if we're talking about 20,000 times 22.7, that's 454,000 pesos per full hectare of kamote. Again, we're planting it between coconuts, so let's call it half. Let's say it's just half of that. 227. Kamote cycle is around 5 months, depending on how bad your growing conditions are. So divided by 5, that's an additional 45,000 pesos for the farmer per month. So again, not bad. It's not really a bad crop to choose. It's very easy to grow, etc. What do you call this? Yes, so I think those are some good options, I think. Oh yes, the last point that I wanted to make is that kamote is also very processing friendly. You can process it into flour, you can process it into chips, you can process it into a lot of other value-added products, which can actually increase the amount of value that you can get from intercropping kamote with coconut. I don't want to take up too much of your time, so I will say at least that if we're talking about diversification as well, the good thing about high value crops is you don't need a very large area to be able to make profit from high value crops. Even just 1,000 square meters of high value crops is enough to get you some, net you a little bit of extra income. So we can look at both intercropping, although intercropping may be a little bit harder to get off the ground. So we can look at diversification as perhaps a stepping board onto perhaps a better integrated intercropping system with the farmers. These options are available. If I were to choose between the two crops, banana versus kamote is much easier to get off the ground versus banana. So these are things that we can consider. It's low capital investment required and probably a lot friendlier to the farmer. So that's for me.
Thanks very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Julius. Do you mind if we guys extend another 30 minutes so we can have some question and answers? Okay lang ba? Giselle, can we go on to...
Absolutely.
Okay.
No,
Yes,
we can go on.
So
Absolutely.
we will welcome some questions.
No time
Ben,
limit.
Yes.
may I have the floor? Ben?
Yes.
Yeah. I think the bottom line is we have to increase the income from coconut farms. And our strategy is to utilize all the products available from coconut and plant anything that can be planted on the soil where the coconut is planted. That is the objective. Now, we have talked this for so long. One, intercropping is done in a very minimal state in the Philippines. You can see this only in a viable terms in part of Laguna and Batangas. When you go part to Bicol, Samar, and Leyte, you cannot see very hardly intercropping. So, but intercropping is viable. If we can only have a planting distance and density and have a compatible intercrops under shade, it is established by science. Now, we have already literature on this and we have a practice. Intercropping is for income and for food by the farmers. That's what we do. We get a part for planting vegetables for food and other crops for food, and we plant perennials that can be used for cash. So we have a multiple income for food, for cash crops, and for coconut products and byproducts. Now, anyway, my point is we have not practiced in real life what we say about increasing income in coconut. My point is, I think we have to change the paradigm in coconut milling and intercropping and coconut farming. One, it is observed that farmers are well off in an area where there is coconut mills. Why? Because there is access to processing and there is a way to utilize the byproducts. When it is done, then they utilize the land for some other purposes, for food, for cash, like coffee, cacao, banana is okay, some root crops also. Now, this is not tested in a big scale. So what I'm saying is, why don't we try a system where there will be a mill where farmers participate, and then we harness all the main products and byproducts and coconut and encourage them to do planting in-betweens, or you may call it intercrops. But we have also to restructure our industry. We should not make farmers only as a producer of the raw materials. Farmers should be made part of the capital in the industry. How to do it? Maybe the coconut levy fund may do it. How to do it can be through the savings through time. I don't know how it will be done, but it can be done. It can be done. Okay. Then second, we have to organize the farmers. We have to organize the farmers. Catering farmers scattered in 1,000 hectares with a distance of houses for so wide, communication is very difficult. Contact for the information flow in and out will be difficult. So we have to organize them. It is a very difficult process, but if we have to change the industry, we have to do that.
Okay, Eloy, 500 million will be available to organize farmers in the first year. So that will be
but I don't know how they will do it.
it's included in the law. Public 5% says 5%.
Okay.
500 million will become available. Anyway, this we can have one input na pwede natin sabihin kay Administrator Madrigal. Plant bananas, plant kamote. Maybe they're better than coffee or cacao because all will take several years. Ito mabilis. So anyway, si Vic Ilag, nakataas ng kamay niya. Vic,
yeah, thank you. So, thank you, Julius. Yeah, I second the motion of Julius. The reason we're also interested, you saw my slides, we're interested in kamote. First of all, I'm not sure whether people are familiar. So kamote actually is now a top ingredient for pet food manufacturers. So there's a demand in Europe. So we have direct contacts. So they are looking outside of China. They believe that the sweet potato coming from China is adulterated. So they're even looking at the Philippines. So that immediately is a direct market. The other thing from a scientific point of view, I'm not sure people are aware, actually kamote, sweet potato, has nitrogen fixing capabilities. So, I mean, I just learned about that a couple of years ago when we got into kamote. Then as we pointed out, I think 20 to 30% of kamote processed is unused. So we're developed with Tarlac Agricultural University, they developed this fermentation of kamote as an aquafeed product. So we're trying to commercialize that. So I think kamote definitely makes sense. So it's almost probably the second lazy man's crop. Not need much attention, but I think it's worth pursuing.
Thanks very much, Vic, for that input. By the way, Julius, yung price mo sa kamote mababa. I buy it in my subdivision for 80 pesos per kilo. So sabihin mo ng 50 pesos per kilo ang farm gate. The numbers will be even higher. Anyway, before, so that's another advantage. I wanted to ask si Ray Lantin to, I invited him here because he has some information to share with us about producing mature coconuts as food. Because I did some quick calculations. We hardly consume coconuts. But Ray, kinarkula ko, there's 110 million Filipinos. If each Filipino consumes one coconut a week lang, we can consume 38% of the 15 billion coconuts we produce per year. So I want to hear muna si Ray yung using coconut as food. One coconut a week. Yung sinasabi natin, wala tayong market ng coconut. 38% Ray, can be utilized as food. Anyway, yung idea mo, Ray, can you please share with us?
Okay. Thank you, Ben. The idea came from actually a full circle from Philippines to Western Samoa to Philippines. Because when I went to Western Samoa, I saw a white copra dryer, not our black copra, being dried using the technology developed by UPLB, by Dr. Ernie Lozada. And there is another large-scale version for drying coconut meat using a house, actually. No smoke, smoke-free, because the dyeing is indirect. But they're using coconut shells as fuel, coconut husk, or anything that can be burned. without contaminating the product with smoke. And that technology was designed by a Filipino. So it came full circle. Now the Filipinos do not eat copra or edible copra, the copra that we know, because it turns off people by the way it is being processed. It's moldy, black, and not quite attractive. But one attraction that I see is that it has a sweet smell. If you pass through Candelaria, where they process coconut copra into oil, you can smell the copra itself. And this reminds me when I was young that I munched coconut meat, dried coconut meat fed to the chickens. Now, why can't people eat that coconut meat, dried coconut meat? It's tasty. I tell you, it's tasty. Children will love it. And rather than feeding it to chickens, the people or the children can take it. It improves their nutrition because it has plenty of potassium, minerals, and so on. In other words, it is food by itself, a very healthy food. Now, people from South India, I saw this personally in Nepal. They sell this coconut meat chips, dried coconut chips on the roadside. And so I was, from then on, I was thinking, why can't the people do it? You know, in Nepal, it is cold. They need energy from the oil, so it warms them up. Maybe it's too hot here in the Philippines, and we don't need that. But that's not the thing. It can be used as food, and if you are hungry, you will not go hungry. During yeah.
What I would like to ask you is, can you actually produce some? Actually, si Eloy was telling me about this also so many years ago. There was a factory in Calamba who was making food grade coconut. If we can try it, show it, we could encourage more Filipinos to eat coconut. You know, ang usage natin ng coconut as a food is 1/2 that of Indonesia. Indonesians consume twice as much coconut as the Filipinos. And Sri Lankans consume 10 times as much as we do. We have this product and we're not consuming it. At least we have those two inputs now. Sabihin natin kay Madrigal, advertise coconut as food using yung procedure ni Dr. Lantin. Ray, produce some and we will encourage you to try it. Hello, hindi pa sinasabi mo sa Calamba meron ng ganyan?
Oo naman.
Oh, sige. We'll adopt that adaptation.
Merong equipment eh.
Ben, may add, Ben. Indonesia now is the #1 coconut producing country in the world, second ng Philippines. Bakit ang Indonesia hindi nag-export ng coconut products?
They eat it.
Because ang Indonesia, ginagamit nila yung coconut oil sa kanilang nasi goreng. Ang nasi goreng, hindi nasi goreng pag ang ginamit mo ibang oil aside from coconut oil. So kaya yung kanyang coconut oil consumed domestically, ang palm oil ang ini-export sa atin. Yun ang panon. Then ang daming products na for food sa coconut. Talagang yan ang sinasabi na natin eh. Halimbawa, buko o water, and then yung buko meat, and then marami tayong mga confectionaries na mga dessert, sweets na nagagamit na derived from coconut. Kami nung maliit pa ako, pinuproduce namin yan. Pakumbo, ito pang etc. like that na ginagamitan ng sugar. Kunyan yun eh. Kunyan yun eh sa amin eh. Household chores lang yun eh. Pero ginagawa na yun, product.
Hey, Ben,
Yes.
Giselle, no? So the key person here is Ernie Losada, Professor Emeritus of Agri-Engineering at UP Los Baños, whom I've been in touch with. And he sent me the book of a national scientist, William Banzon. Okay, so I think you should connect with Ernie again, P. Ernie, Dr. Lantin, and he insists that his dryer is producing that white copra of high quality
And, it's like the desiccated coconut, which should be the basis for many of the products, including coconut flour, which Vic said is gluten-free, no? So high value din yan. So I think, Ben, maraming opportunities talaga for, improving the income of the farmers. Pero I think Leslie pointed out.
Just a quick question, please.
Can I,
Yes.
can I make a
Ernie,
Ben,
please.
Yes,
I
Ben.
wanted Ernie to stop
We
it.
can hardly hear you,
Because,
Ben.
Ernie, ang problema natin, can you still have connected with NEDA? We have to push coconut as food rather than using it as fuel. It's really crazy. Food is so much more. We are not consuming enough of it. Anyway, Ernie, can you see how we can
just two quick comments or questions. First is I am told that coconut's even used for making chocolates. Paul and Mary chocolates are popular in Pennsylvania, I think, and I'm told that we export this, the ingredients or maybe even the finished product for Paul and Mary chocolates. Okay, that's one. That was not mentioned. That's why I'm mentioning it now. Secondly, we have this huge cocoa levy fund, which could potentially be used to provide equity capital to farmers. What's being done about that? What's happening to the cocoa levy fund?
Okay,
Why is there no big demonstration? Big demonstration that should be used for, productive and purposes that would improve the lives of farmers. There was no mention of that. So, Ben, maybe you should lead the campaign or the advocacy or the demonstration to have that thing, is sitting somewhere, just gaining interest. And I think the interest earnings are being, taken out by, by politicians or whoever is handling that money. And so, it's really supposed to be for the farmers. That was a tax that were imposed on them on the production of coconuts. So that's I think if we can unleash the cocoa levy fund, that would be great for the coconut industry. Thank you.
Let me respond to that directly. I'm looking in. I have in front of me now the Public Act 524. 15% will be used for replanting, creating nurseries and so on. 5% will be spent for R&D. By the way, for the first year, 10 billion will be available. Second year, 10 billion. Third year, 15 billion. Fourth year, 15 billion. Fifth year, 25 billion plus whatever was earned during that time, because all this time hindi kumikita yung coconut levy fund. But anyway, 15% for replanting, 5% for research, marketing and promotion, 5%, crop insurance, 4%, farm improvements, 10%, shared facilities will be 10%, organizing through LGUs, 10%, credit, 10%, 1 billion, infrastructure development, 10%, scholarship programs, 8% to be handled by CHED, and 10% for health and medical programs ng farmers. No money for equity, Ernie. Wala. Si Cynthia Villar wrote the law such that she buttonholed whatever is the money would be spent. I went to all of the Senate hearings. We tried to tell her, wag mo namang i-butonis yan. Can you imagine the way it's written now? For the next 50 years, you'll spend 15% of the coconut levy fund for replanting. That doesn't make sense. After a few years, tapos na yung replanting mo. So the law is not quite right. Pero I tell you, mahirap pa sa atin si Senator Villar. So anyway, that's the way the law is written now. It's clear exactly how the money will be spent. But I'm telling you, there is no money as equity directly for the farmers. No cash. It will be all these programs.
So it's being handled by the senators, huh?
It
By
was already
PCA.
made into a law. Republic Act 524 was issued in February last year. So it's implemented now. Once General Madrigal gets it approved by Duterte, the first 10 billion will be released. So we're helping Madrigal to have the money released.
Sec Ernie, Ben, please confirm this. So I was told by Ernie Lozada that the PCA board now consists of the secretaries, Secretary Boy de la Peña, Secretary Sonny Dominguez, DTI, etc. So please confirm this. This is the first time that this has happened, no?
Yes.
So we could get to them.
Yes, there are several secretaries, outnumbered yung coconut farmers. So many secretaries are members of the board. Yung mga farmer representatives are only 3. Camp we tried so hard to sana outnumber yung mga government officials with people from the farming sectors. Basically, the over my dead body is not gonna happen. So there's more people in the government. Boy de la Peña is one of them. Dar is one of them. Susano Dominguez is one of them, and the Department of Budget. Anyway, I think the exact number I'll have to check. But outnumbered yung coconut farmers.
No, but that Dominguez is the one that's lording it over.
You got it right, Ernie.
I think Neda is a member, but the biggest voice there is Dominguez.
Yes, in fact,
like in many other matters.
I see. Yes.
In both the Department of Justice and Department of Budget. In one Senate hearing, sabi nga ng Department of Justice, ano pakialam namin yan? We don't really know. Pero si Sonny Dominguez insists that they'll be there. There'll be 3 of them departments which will handle the money. And they'll just put the money, which is in the Bureau of Treasury, they will release it over 5 years nga. 10, 15, 25 plus interest. And then for the next 45 years, 5 billion a year. But the 75 billion is already in the Bureau of Treasury. Nandun na yun. But it's mixed with all the general funds.
Can I say something?
Okay.
Can I say something to add?
Okay. Yes, of course.
I did a study on RA 11524. If that law is not amended, well, first things first, it's a big plus factor that it now allows the disbursement of the coconut levy fund. So that's a big plus factor. However, if that law is not amended, the farmers will remain suppliers of nuts. The law does not allow farmers to have equity in processing.
Right.
Okay, so that law has to be amended. Number two, what's exciting here in our group is that I can see already, because I said in the study I made, I can share it in another meeting. We think of big business for the small coconut farmers. So think of big business for the small coconut farmers. And when we think of big business for the small coconut farmers, let's not think of the small coconut farmer representative who is 2, 3, or 5 hectares. When we think of big business for the small coconut farmers, we must have corporate managers. We must have investment bankers. We must have production engineers. We must have business researchers. And hopefully from this group, we can start to assemble such a team. So when we think of big business for the small coconut farmers, we must have a top-heavy talent group. Business managers with corporate background, investment bankers, production engineers, researchers, and the like. And hopefully, that's why I want to get the contact date of Vic Ilag, because I'm so excited to see is in processing, rice, coconut, and then fishing. Okay, so that's Vic, if you can put your contact data on the chat side, because why limit yourself? For me, I'm presenting this to Vic, but for the whole group also. Vic, why limit yourself to Leyte and Samar? Let's look at the different coconut areas.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Can be done.
Yeah, sir. Yeah, we think big, but we start small.
Oh, fine. No problem about that. But sadly, if the coconut levy fund is not law is not amended, the farmers will remain suppliers of nuts.
That's correct. That's right.
That's right.
That way,
75. Cesar, it's not cut and dried.
75 billion. The farmers, the small coconut farmers collectively own 75 billion. Why can't they either buy equity or put up their own big scale plants?
Okay,
Exactly.
let me try to explain to you, di ba?
Yes, yes.
There is money available to organize the small farmers. By the way, 90% of the coconut farms are 2 hectares or less. We really have to create cooperatives. Money will be spent for creating cooperatives. Sabi nga ni Madrigal, who's the administrator now, only 25% of coconut farmers are members of cooperatives. So we need people to put them together into cooperatives so that they'll become more effective. There might be no money directly given to farmers, but they're enabling mechanisms. The law is flawed. We know that. I know that. I've been going to the Senate and talking to Villar. She won't listen to us. Gusto niya talaga itong mangyayari and si Sunny Dominguez, this is how we will spend the money. Unless you amend the law. It took us 7 years before that law was actually passed. By the way, Camp drafted the law. But by the time it was passed, ito na nangyayari, napalpan na. It's so difficult to argue yung sinasabi ni Cesar doon na you make some money available to farmers. This is the same sort of thing that other people are saying. No, Villar says this is how the money will be spent. And unless you can amend it, and I'm telling you, it will probably take another 6 years before you can amend it. It took that long for us to, at least, sabi mo nga, lumabas na. So, and just have to start the Republic Act 524, sabi nga ni Madrigal, I'm sorry, that's the way it is, that's the law, I have to follow it. We have to follow it, we amend it, but it's a long process.
Okay,
and by
Ben.
the time, ubos na yung pera anyway. After 5 years, ubos na yung 75 billion
So, Ben, not all is lost, no? So, kaya nandito si Alvin, si EVSU President Dennis, at ang representative ng Leyte Provincial Governor in charge of Agriculture, is because we want to start where we have a good head start. We have a supportive provincial governor and LGUs, and Vic is there in the Leyte Samar area. And I think that in PAASE, we always invest or take time to discuss our leading edges in terms of the provinces. Leyte is a major province where PAASE wants to help. There are others, pero Leyte is probably the most advanced. And you say that some money will go to the LGUs. So if you're able to get the governor convinced to invest in the coconut industry in his province, then you can be sure that that money will be put to good use. And let me tell you that there are hundreds of farmers organizations already in Leyte. Alvin, maybe you can tell them a bit about it, please.
Before Alvin talks, I'd like to say the Mandanas ruling makes money available to LGUs. And
also
we drafted another one called province-led agriculture extension. So money will be available. So anyway, I want to hear from Alvin. And there are mechanisms we could work with provinces.
Yes, Alvin, please.
Well, nandito naman si si Imelda Sievert, OIC of the Provincial Agriculture's Office. So that's something we can we will discuss as soon as I return to late in 2 weeks time. Kasi I think they have been always looking for opportunities where they can really get the coconut industry back on its feet in the not only in the Leyte province but in the region, primarily because of the devastation of Typhoon Haiyan. So we picked up a number of ideas from the discussion now, especially on the other uses of the coconut product. So in fact, EVSU is here. Andito yung campus director, Ben Militante, in one of the campuses in EVSU, handling the agriculture, and also from the Innovation Center, which is funded by the UST. So I think if we are able to put together the resources and the ideas together, and we cooperate with the full support of the local government, especially from the province, and they put money because always ano sa research, sa development, it's always about financial ano, di ba? Now if they can really put in some counterpart funds along with the industry and along with the other players no in this particular sector, I think we will be able to you know be able to get back as soon as we can, because ang tagal na rin di ba, since 2013 and until now we still are languishing no in our coconut you know, especially in the province of Leyte. I don't know, Imelda, if there's something you can add to that. Imelda is there.
Hi.
Yes, Imelda.
Yes.
Give us a bit of ano situation there, real ano talaga situation.
Yes, certainly our coconut farmers are experiencing higher price for coconut right now, not like before. Copra is being bought at 40 plus pesos, 45 pesos per kilo right now. And then regarding the interest of our governor to invest in coconut, I think he will be very interested, because before he was asking me about our coconut farmers. So that alone shows interest on the improvement of our coconut farmers. So there's a very good chance that with you, Dr. Kulaba, to convince him also, we will be having more projects for our coconut farmers.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Imelda. And I'm happy with this fireside chat, because at least it puts together, there's a basis for our proposal to the governor, because we're really helping a number of industries over there, and coconut is one of those, because when he came into the office back in 20 at the time right after the Typhoon Haiyan, that the economy is really bad. That's why he has to look for other agricultural products and did not depend much on this industry that are actually not resilient to the weather condition in the province or in the region. So anyway, thank you everyone.
There's to add a message to Dr. Kulaba. We had been talking about production. There is one important aspect we did not think about. It's marketing. We should not produce just like that. We should always produce for a known buyer. Kailangan before you start doing anything, identify mo yung mga buyers mo. May sigurado ka ng buyer. So it's important that yung supply chain, particularly in information technology, hindi lang yung barrier road Just as important is the yung information technology. It has to be developed. Yun ang hanapin natin sa mga programs ng agriculture. Make sure there's a buyer, information technology.
Yes. We will invite you. We invite all of you to our event, our next fireside chat next Friday, pero 8 o'clock in the morning. And Alvin, we will have a conversation panel. And Alvin will also tell you about what they plan to do about communicating, connecting demand and supply. They already have a program called Quest for it. So everything is being planned well in Leyte. So I think with that, we can now safely and comfortably end our event today, but only to say that we will have another one as Cesar requests to keep this group. At this point, I'd like to recognize the presence of our national scientist, Lourdes Luli Cruz, and also our VCO champion, NAST Vice President and PAASE former President, Toby Dairit. I may have not acknowledged the presence of others, but if you're very interested in coconut and lifting the plight of the improving the plight of our coconut farmers, please stay with us. And then we will plan another conversation like this. In the meantime, you should start drafting your proposal to General Madrigal, which was the aim of this.
I will write this up and make a report.
Yes.
Before we go, 2 more minutes. Nakikita ko si Popot Pereda of Mulanay. Popot has sent me some videos. Popot, can you share naman about yung mga how you can utilize coconut better, si Popot, because he has actual experience from Mulanay, Quezon.
Magandang hapon po. 2 minutes. Ben. Ako po ay coconut leaders ng Mulanay, Quezon. At kami po ay matagal na nag-umpisa since yung amin pong Solcom dito, yung sequestered ng gobyerno na isinara after the EDSA. So napagbuksan po namin yan, and then napabuksan po namin during the Ramos administration. But after that, when the Estrada administration came, naisara pong muli. Dito po nag-start sa Quezon at sa Region 4 yung value adding processing. Bukod po dun sa copra na directly ang farmers ay tinatanggap sa pabrika. And ang effect po noong operation ng Solcom namin dito after the EDSA, nung isara po ng other administration, biglang tumaas ang presyo ng copra because of the distance ng farm grade sa locality po namin sa Mulanay. So isang effect po yan. So yung po na-obserbahan namin na kinakailangan malapit ang processing plant sa mismong area. Hindi katulad ng iba na nasa syudad. At yung pong aming participation directly ng farmers in terms of business or enterprise, napakahalaga po yan. Dapat po yan ay na-experience namin, ay dapat po yan inclusive ang approach natin. Pangalawa po nitong amin pong together with the meetings with the camp, na-discuss po namin yan yung product development. Ngayon po kami ay merong kinonect po kami kasama si Doc Ben Pexon sa kanila na directly from our group of farmers, kinonect nila mismo sa mga buyer. So, 3 po ang negotiations namin yan with the buyer. Pero hindi po namin primary product ang copra. Talo na po tayo in world market. Copra ay talagang talon-talon na. So, we are developing now at ang aming pong provincial governor, si Governor Suarez, ay meron pong commitment sa amin, sa coconut farmers sa Bundok Peninsula, at nag-negotiate na po kami to start with the semi-processing plant dito sa Mulanay. Hindi na po namin ibibiyahe ang copra o nyog, but isi-semi-process po yan dito sa Mulanay. Isa-separate ang meat, isa-separate ang water, at gagawin po naman namin ng farmers. Ipaprocess po namin yung husk and shell. So, in economic analysis, medyo po advantage yung ganang process.
Marami pa ibang mga produkto na nagagawa, Popot. Nakikita mo sa akin yung video. There are other handicrafts you can do.
Oo, marami po kami na-present na mga product. Yung isa po yung sabaw. Sabaw pa lang po yun. I entered that into USA through Doc Abenes. Meron pong renewable energy. Bukod yung alcohol, concentrate lang po yan. Alcohol ko po pwede, and then yung vodka. And then pag yan po ay na-process din namin, concentrated na water, which is waste, karamihan. Pwede pong gawing juice, pwede pong gawin niya na bioethanol from the water. Hindi lang po yung maraming iba pa. At kami po ngayon ay nag-try para maibalik po tayo sa farmers, especially yung feeds po natin na mga animals, livestock.
Maraming
yung waste po na, plus yung other product po na touch natin sa husk.
Maraming salamat po, Popot. Alam nyo, Ben, kami napunta sa Mulanay. Yung isang aming colleague, si Dr. Remigio Olveda ng Mulanay. Kilala
ko po yun.
Iyo po niyo yun. Doon po kami nag-meeting ng NAST. Nandun po ako. Ngayon, alam po, yun po. So meron kaming teach-in doon dati na naandun po lahat kayo. Pati na yung souk, yung yung ano ba yan, PUP, Quezon.
PUP,
Po,
PUP.
mga high school. So yun po, no? So alam ko rin po na may doktor na galing sa Amerika na taga Mulanay na umuwi at siyang nagturo tungkol sa mga medicinal plants at pati na rin ang mga application ng coconut. Mukhang namatay na po siya. Pero sana
Dr. Morales po.
yun po si Dr. Morales. At tinulungan
Retired na doktor sa Amerika. Umuwi siya dito. Tinulungan po kami mga farmers.
Namatay na rin si Dr. Olveda pero magandang madinig na itong Mulanay center ng coconut product development. Maraming salamat po, Popot.
Salamat po, Doc Ben.
Yung VCO King natin, si Dr. Dairit, may gustong sabihin. He has raised his hand. Toby?
Yeah. Yeah, just to share some,
Yes.
But of course, General Madrigal is not a coconut person. So he gets his advice from I don't know where. But unfortunately, yung PCA ngayon, yung binanggit nga, mahina talaga sa research. Which I think a problem. I was able to join one of their planning meetings. Whatever they're gonna do, palagi ko marginal lang mangyayari dun eh. They're not, and I don't think they're really addressing the needs of the farmers. So I think, and naka-allocate na yung pera. So I think kung nalapitan si General Madrigal, I don't know how much you can get from him. Kasi parang na-commit na yung pera, para pinapagatian na nila eh. So yeah, I think that's a concern.
Anyway, Toby, huwag kang mawalan ng loob. The law says DOST through Picard will get.
Yeah, no, I think that's the best route to getting there. Pero limited ang perang binigay sa DOST. So you're gonna be able to get some money, but maybe not enough. Kasi yung mga malalaking program.
Written in the law.
No, nakita ko, in fact, naka-allocate na yung pera per department. May pera sa DTI, it's already allocated per department. And they're not really enough. And mahirap yan kung per department mangyayari kasi you really need a cohesive plan, not a per department plan. So I think that's the immediate concern we have if you're gonna tap the Coco Levy Fund.
Anyway, the law is clear about how much money will be spent for research. It's 5%. You ask for it. Demand yun in DOST.
Toby, nandun si Sec Boy de la Peña sa board. Kaya kailangan i-reach out to him right away. Toby.
No, I understand that si Boy de la Peña is going to be there. But then there are 4 or 5 secretaries. And I think they're going to divide the money among themselves.
Yeah, let's pick up. I mean, let's
so, you know,
si Boy de la Peña.
Na siya talaga ang entry. But then the share, quote unquote, of the funds you can get will not be that big.
Well, never mind. At least we should try to get as big a fund as 800 million for scholarships for training and education. Leslie pointed it out. Let's try to get part of that to train our lazy farmers. And then train them in technical skills.
Yeah, but I mean, pera yan. Alam mo na kung gobyerno pera, then...
O nga, pero, we all know that already.
You have to explain to us where did you spend the money because the money is at the Bureau of Treasury. It's supposed to go to the PCA, it's supposed to give it to the DOST. Tell Dr. Olapeña, you demand it. You want
No, I think it's okay to talk to General Madrigal, see what he tells you. Pero of course, si Boy de la Peña pa rin ang talagang main natin.
And I think we should do that. As NAST Vice President, NAST is the highest scientific advisory body of the government. And as NAST Vice President, I think you should tell Boy de la Peña. What do you think?
No, I think we should put together a plan and then we'll get the executive council to approve it. And then ilapit natin.
O sige, so Camp will draft the position paper and we will all sign. Okay?
Yeah.
So, and then
what I will do is I will summarize what I got today. Yung sinabi ni Julius Barcelona, yung banana and kamote, and yung presentation ni Dr. Ilag. These are
magaganda sila.
Whatever what we discussed today, I'll put them. Yung sinabi ni Ray Lantin, let's use it as food. Let's get away from the copra thing. Okay?
Yes.
Nasa batas yung nasa batas yung coco diesel.
Follow it, but
so you have to repeal the coco diesel law.
Friendly persuasion we can do. Di ba?
Sabay-sabay, try to repeal the laws, amend the law. At the same time, we have to write this position paper.
Kasi pinapag-usapan na yung 5% coco diesel, patay yan.
Burning food, that's really crazy.
No, yun nga, yun ang batas yun ang programa ng PCA.
It doesn't say so. It doesn't say anything in the law that you could use it for fuel. Wala kang nakalagay na ganyan.
Ben, ang problema natin dun sa allocation ng fund ay very fixed, very highly structured.
It's very fixed.
Flexibility. Hindi mo ma-prioritize. Ano bang unahin mo doon?
Tama yun, tama yun.
You have to follow whatever is in the law until it's repealed. In the meantime,
correct.
You're stuck with it. Madrigal is stuck with it. But he gives less than 5% for R&D. Sabi mo, we want accountability. How come you're not giving us 5%?
Okay, never mind. What does the 5% translate to in terms of hundreds of millions? How many?
500 million.
Absorptive capacity, problema rin natin yan. Do we need the 500 million for R&D? So let's just start small. We have a place to start. We have a group of interested.
Yeah.
Giselle,
let's not think of the big problem.
Whatever the money is in there, you have to use it. If you don't use it the following year, you lose it.
All right. So,
Ma'am Giselle, I think in line doon sa ginagawa ni Big Ilag, magawa na tayo ng isang model na makaka-capture lahat ng main products and byproducts sa coconut processing, and then makapag-establish din tayo ng processing plant sa intercrops. Hindi mo pwedeng ibebenta mo siya ng raw material kasi kung meron kang 100 hektaryang kamote, saan ang gagawin mo roon? So dapat ma-process din siya.
Okay, we will do that in the context of, can we agree that we will explore this change mindset and disruptive type of thinking in the coconut industry in Leyte, where we have a very, very progressive and cooperative governor and LGUs, and we already have the structure. We have farmers associations there. Pwede ba yun? Sabihin natin model lang, no? Ando din sila V. Ano nang gawin natin, Toby? Sige.
I think we need to tama yung success stories. We have to show success stories. So, tama yan.
Yeah, high rate of success. Right, high chance of success also.
Yeah, tama yan.
Organized na sila. So, just so the camp group knows, 2-3 beses na kami nag-meeting tungkol dyan sa pag-isip ng mga products that we want to develop. So, I'm gonna come up with a simple template. It's not the first time I've done this on project proposals. And Toby will write his, Leslie, and then Vic also has his own specific projects downstream. And then you have others in PAASE with these, proposals.
Importante din yung value chain.
Exactly.
Yung value chain.
Proposal from Cesar Gomez, yung tinatawag nating value chain, training, and then at the same time nandyan yung business.
Tama yan, Cesar.
Sige, yun, gawin natin lahat yon. Okay? Tito Casado, maybe. No?
Ma'am Giselle, tama yung ating pilot na gagawin natin sa Leyte, Samar, and Bicol region because ang taas ng insurgency. Secondly, kung wala yung coconut dyan, devastated dyan kasi yan ang windbreaker.
Okay, at this point, I have to tell you, ano yung success ni Governor Petilla? Yung mga insurgents niya, tinuruan niya maging farmers, tinrain niya maging farmers, kaya na-control niya ang insurgency doon. Bicol, dahil naandyan na po sila sa Mulanay, at naandun na rin, at this point, I will have to acknowledge the contributions of a congressman who just passed away. So Louis Villafuerte actually wrote books, and one is on coconut, on all the uses of coconut. You cannot imagine the information it contains. And he's also already led in producing many different kinds of coconut products, including coconut sugar and other high-value products, coconut oil. Okay, so yon, pwedeng sa Bicol, makakakuha rin tayo ng support dyan. But yung Leyte, nandyan na talaga yung ano yung mga stakeholders, andyan na yung mga committed parties working together. Thanks to Alvin for introducing us to EBSU and to the provincial governor. And then we have the experts in PAASE and in many other universities like UP Los Baños, UP Diliman, LaSalle. Yan, marami tayong mga pwedeng tutulong dito. Pero i-showcase natin sa Leyte. Pwede ba yon? Yan. O sige. So,
Thank you everyone. Thank you.
Maraming salamat. Iyon. Sige. So, Ben, I will work on a template. Simple lang. Ang proposal, capsule proposal. Tapos lahat ito isasama natin. Tapos,
I'll give you my feedback.
Yes, Sec Boy de la Peña. Champion natin yung si Sec Boy, ha? Oo. All right.
May I?
Thank you, everyone.
Somebody else wants to speak. Last na. Yes.
Gil Santos.
Gil
After
Santos.
hearing all this and looking at the problem, as vice chairman of the Center for Philippine Futuristic Studies and Management, I have one input. Please include in your thinking, in your collective attitude towards changing the coconut industry to improve national income, alleviate poverty, or eliminate extreme poverty among our coconut farmers and our own coastal fisher folks. Please include, number one, this needs a long-term futuristic outlook for a holistic development program for the entire coconut industry. Why? Because the coconuts are everywhere in the Philippines. But the biggest portion of the coconut trees are located on the eastern seaboard of the Philippines, all the way from Tuguegarao to eastern Mindanao. And that includes Leyte and Samar, or eastern Visayas. And that is the most, or one of the most poverty-stricken regions in the Philippines.
Maraming salamat po.
One more. Number two, the development should be looked at its entirety because of the diversity of the geographical locations of the coconut trees. It must be modular in development. In short, every module is like a capsule. You have its own transportation, communication, housing, farming, and products designations independent of each other so that there are no duplications of the products produced. Now, all this individual communications, transportation, and so forth infrastructures will be linked to the national infrastructure so that there is a continuous flow of all the basic factors that affect the market, which will affect us directly or indirectly. And that means the environmental information, the current accurate economic data from reliable sources, the the transportation, including international shipping, and most important, the culture and communications of the people in each culture. Because in our 81 provinces in the Philippines, almost every one province has its own culture, has its own tradition, has its own even dialect. So that communication is going to be a very big problem. That is part of education. So please look at the entirety.
Yes,
Thank you.
gargantuan task. And how many committed people are there in academe? If you talk about experts at the PhD level, there are only 200 PhD level scientists and engineers per million population in the Philippines, the lowest in the ASEAN. Okay, so how can we do all of these things? We have to invest in education in the long term, from basic education all the way to tertiary education, postgraduate education, and R&D. So lahat po yan, challenges sa ating bansa. Hanggang ngayon, hindi inaasikaso yan kasi hindi gumawa ng maimportanteng investment in the 60s, 70s, 80s when other ASEAN countries were doing this. Ito po yung aming advocacy ni Secretary Ernie Pernia, higit na 10 taon na, yung tinatawag na building of the suprastructure, hindi lang po yung infrastructure ang kailangan natin. Knowledge capital po. Knowledge-based economy po. Anyway, with that, maraming salamat po sa lahat. Ito po ang PAASE Fireside episode 27, co-hosted with of Agriculture Modernization of the Philippines. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat. Ben, my co-host, we will start writing the draft of your position paper. Okay? Maraming salamat.
Sige.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank you.
We will exchange notes, Giselle. O, sige. Thank you,
Mahirap.
everyone. Good afternoon.
Dumadaming trabaho, Ben, no? You know, nadamay kami sa coconut, pero importante kasi yan. Ang dami-dami ka pang kailangan gawin. Pero, you know, kahit papano, no? Napaka-importante talaga yan. 15 years na namin pinag-uusapan niya ni Congressman Villafuerte. No? Na yung income ng farmers, ganun lang. Gusto nga namin iangat to 15,000. Paano gagawin yon? Oh. Sige.
Okay.
Maraming salamat.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Ben, Giselle, let
Yes,
me
sir.
give you in writing in the next few days some
Yes.
of my thoughts and
Yes,
what
please.
I've seen in the entire Asian and South Asian region.
Much appreciated.
Yeah.
So
Will do.
I will just type my Ben can just it's in our email. So Ben, we can always email all of this, no? Yes. Thank you so much. Umabot tayo ng 2.5
Ben can
hours
always
tayo.
Ben can always get in touch with
All
me.
input will be appreciated. Hindi pa tapos. Thank you,
Well,
everyone.
Okay.
Gil, I think we
Okay.
should meet our national scientist, Luli Cruz. I don't know if she's about to leave, but we just had our fireside chat this morning on Future Earth. She's the program leader of Future Earth Philippines. So ganong ding futuristic, whole of nation approach. Ngayon ito, hindi natin kaya yan. Ano lang tayo, PAASE lang kami, camp lang kayo. So we say whole of province approach muna. Pag naandyan ang EBSU president na sinusuportahan tayo, sinusuportahan natin, nandiyan si Governor Petilla, mapapakita natin yung whole of province approach. Okay?
Sige.
Yeah, let's
Sige.
not lose
You just
Toby, let's
you just
not
let
lose
me know.
hope. Please, ha? Meron pa tayong
Let me
15
know.
years to go. Matanda na tayo.
Let me know. Let me know through email or telephone.
Luli, ha?
Yeah.
Oo, kayo
Ben
ni-
knows how to get in touch with me all the time.
Yes. Luli,
Okay.
ayan. There we have
Thank you.
Gil Santos.
Sige.
Alvin,
Okay.
our
Imelda,
Prime
thank
Minister,
you, Imelda.
leading edge.
Thank
Maraming
you.
salamat, Imelda.
Bye-bye. Sige,
Oh,
bye-bye.
bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank
Ay,
you.
nako. Hirap talaga, no? Hirap sa bansa natin talaga. Ay, tumanda na tayo. Dito pa rin tayo.
Ayun na nga si ano eh. Congressman
May next gen na, kamukha niyan si Leslie. Ayan, ako. Magaling na ano yan. Magaling na engineer at scientist yan si Leslie. Articulate, no? Committed. Sige, Alvin.
Thank you. Thank you again. Sige.
Forward.
I'll discuss this when I return to ano.
Yes, please.
Tacloban in 2 weeks time. Thank you.
Ganyan ka-passionate ang mga tao dito. Popot, maraming salamat. Namimiss ko ang
Ken,
ulan.
Militante, and
Balik po kayo
Lilaria.
dito, ma'am.
Ano?
Balik
Ay,
po kayo.
opo, kung pa pwede. Meron pa akong ibang project dyan. Kasi yung mangroves ni
I
ano.
leave now. Bye-bye.
Oo.
Ay, yung mangroves po ni Dr. Olveda, dinala niya kami doon sa lupain niya. Gusto naming pag-aralan yung mangroves doon. Meron na rin kami
We have 27 species of mangrove here.
Ayun po, pinag-aral na ho ninyo yan. So, talagang nag-drive ako all the way to Mulanay. Hinost nga niya kami, no? Kami mga academicians. And nagsalita kayo siguro, nakalimutan ko na lang, no? Pero dapat yung Mulanay, sana through his son, si Dr. Olveda, si David, kilala ko rin siya. Sana naman pagpatuloy natin yung project sa Quezon.
Sige po, ma'am. Thank you po.
Si David po, yung kaisa-isang anak ni Dr. Remigio Olveda. Okay? Kilala ko rin po siya. Maraming salamat, Popo.
Maraming salamat po.
Bye-bye. Sa ngayon.
Bye-bye po.
Bye.